In today's video, we will be discussing the reasons why Nigeria, which is the biggest economy in Africa, is so difficult to develop and what the Nigerian politicians and society in general should do about it. But before we continue, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. One of the most serious issues confronting Nigeria today is that its leaders lack a clear knowledge of how to bring about the required changes in the country. The majority of individuals involved in the transformation program believe it is simply a matter of creating attractive logos and catchy slogans, as well as assembling a cadre of sycophants and political bigwigs to launch projects with fanfare. As a result, there has been a great deal of superficiality and failure in the society's transformation projects. Many people, both inside the country and those in the diaspora, have been entertaining themselves with some probing questions about the ongoing rebranding campaign in Nigeria, which they reportedly read on Nigerian government-owned website. Reading from those websites eventually leads people to start asking question. What is it that Nigeria is rebranding? Is the name of the country going to be changed? What will Nigeria do about the corrupt police and leaders and the email fraud writers? Why is it so difficult to change Nigeria? How come changing Nigeria is so difficult? This question brings to mind the mountain of reform and restructuring projects avidly promoted by Nigerian leaders as answers to the country's numerous ills. Needs, the Heart of Africa project, and the poverty alleviation programs, to name a few. Nigeria has tried 100 different approaches with little success. Since the restoration of civilian authority in 1999, the National Assembly has discussed changing the constitution, repairing the intermittent energy supply, decommissioned refineries, and fixed the potholed roads, as well as approving the Freedom of Information Bill. There has been a lot of talk about revamping the educational system, the electoral system, and the police, as well as corruption and the National Identity Project, among other things. Despite all of the assurances that the reforms are succeeding, much remains the same. Nigeria appears to have yet to learn from its history, or has it failed to put what it has learnt into practice? Despite the failure of past programs, the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua administration introduced some new ones with great fanfare, including the controversial 7-point agenda and the rebranding drive. Nigeria is not a bad society as a whole, but the actions of a few corrupt leaders give the impression that it is. Nigeria's socio-economic and political problems are the result of their corrupt mentality and insensitivity to citizens' plights. The problem with Nigeria is simply and squarely a lack of leadership. There is nothing basically wrong with the Nigerian character. There is nothing wrong with the Nigerian land or climate or water or air but leadership. Leadership comes with responsibility. Good leaders manage and solve problems. But the majority of Nigeria's leaders are without responsibility, causing Nigeria's problems to remain perpetually unresolved. One of the main reasons many reforms efforts have failed to yield positive results is because the leaders implement new strategies from the point of their internalized regressive mental model or orientation. We make decisions based on the way we frame life. And because the society has been managed by leaders without a moral purpose, there are always deadly impediments in the way of even minor societal reform. In fact, most attempts at social transformation have only served to strengthen the forces that prevent change. Another issue with Nigeria and its reform initiatives appears to be the people's willingness to hand over control of the country's policies to dishonest politicians. As a result, irrational policies and disruptive internal dynamics are impeding the economy's growth and development, and the ongoing global pandemic, economic, and financial crisis has exacerbated the problem. Because nothing works, many Nigerians are impoverished and stressed to the limit. The human side of transformation has often been overlooked by those working in reform projects. They must be taught that in any reform program, the well-being of the public must come first. The withdrawal of petroleum product subsidies in the pretext of deregulation, at a time when other countries are bailing out their businesses and populations, is predicted to exacerbate the economy's already dire situation. Because oil is required in the manufacturing and distribution of other commodities and services, the high cost of petroleum products has a negative distributive impact on the economy. Nigeria has been unable to develop economically, socially, or politically due to a lack of the necessary preconditions for effective economic and political activity. The reasons for the reform's failure cannot be overstated. Change typically fails because politicians frequently prefer symbol over substance. It has been suggested that merely having a democratic form of government is not a requirement for economic growth and development. People should make an effort to distinguish between politics and genuine reorganization plans. Leaders aren't doing enough to overcome the obstacles to meaningful social reforms. Genuine development demands a conceptual shift. However, there will always be forces working to protect the status quo. To advance, Nigerians must first change their thinking, a mental revolution, and combat political corruption, which is a formidable hurdle to long-term growth. It must also establish effective institutions to ensure the system's long-term viability. The mountain of evidence demonstrates that if entrenched anti-development actions are not abandoned, the country's image will deteriorate. Even worse, the country may dissolve since there is a limit to how far a civilization can function. It's all about how you feel. Before a change in society can occur, it must be visible in people's attitudes. What we do is guided by our mental models. A shift in value and belief could help society move from the brink of impossibility to the edge of potential, which is currently surrounded by uncertainty. No amount of bluster or witty slogans would deter politicians from stealing public funds, rigging elections, or murdering political opponents in order to gain or maintain power. Nigeria's leaders need to embrace a new mindset, live within their means, and follow the law. The rebranding will be a bridge to nowhere until the hurdles that are holding Nigeria back are removed. Nigeria has enormous potential that is largely untapped. Human capital investment, critics say, is a vital area that Nigeria has neglected for far too long. Without viable educational institutions, no country can make significant socio-economic progress. The rebranding campaign should have started with rebranding the education sector and other commanding heights of the economy. Changes in human skills, attitudes, and values are required for economic growth and development. In addition, monetary and fiscal policies, which are government operations that affect economic stability, require mental reforms. National budgets, as well as political and economic reforms, are effective tools for boosting the economy and improving people's living standards. But in Nigeria, the masses only read about the nation's budget on the newspaper or listen to it on the radio, but don't feel it. Any reform effort should include respect for the rule of law, as well as human and civil rights. However, the masses lack political and economic freedom, and the officials who are supposed to safeguard them routinely violate their rights. Any individual deprived of the basic wherewithal could not participate effectively in a democratic political process. Improved economic freedom may lead to increased economic growth since the more free individuals are, both economically and politically, the better off the economy and the people are. Expanding the freedoms that we have reason to value not only enriches and liberates our lives, but also enables us to be better social individuals, exercising our own will and participating with and influencing the environment in which we live. The ability to define a measurable objective and purpose is essential for effective social transformation and development. Nigeria has taken on the difficult challenge of reorganizing a heterogeneous society. The nation's balkanization, requirement of state of origin for employment, and religious extremism obstruct social mobility and progress. Some people believe that a certain set of religious teachings is absolute truth beyond inquiry, denying citizens the right and chance to seek alternate solutions to their concerns. If Nigeria's society does not modify the way it conducts its activities, it may not be able to develop beyond its current level. Mentality change has been noted as the vehicle for personal and social transformation. To get the reforms right, the leaders should know what works and what doesn't and do the right thing. They should discard the mentality that makes it so difficult to change Nigeria. It is not good enough to copy other great nations without understanding or doing what it takes to be great. The heat is on. Nigeria must change with the rest of the world or perish.